The council chamber was enormous, its walls made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood near the large viewing screen, his feathers pressed flat against his head. He was worried and everyone could see it. "Show it again," said High Chancellor Torin. His voice was deep and commanding. He had 4 eyes and all of them were focused on the screen. The hologram appeared in the center of the room. 3 large warships surrounded a smaller vessel. The small ship had strange markings that nobody recognized. Suddenly, without any warning, the small ship opened fire. Metal projectiles shot out at incredible speed, not energy beams like normal weapons. The projectiles smashed through the shields of the 3 warships as if they were made of paper. In less than 30 seconds, all 3 ships were destroyed, spinning through space in pieces. "Monsters?" growled General Kilos. His reptilian scales changed color from green to dark red, showing his anger. "They attacked without even trying to communicate with us." A young officer named Lyra stepped forward. She was small compared to the others in the room, but her voice was clear and confident. "That is not entirely accurate, General." She touched a control panel and the hologram rewound. "Look here, 30 seconds before the engagement." Everyone watched carefully. There was a brief flash of blue light from the lead warship. An energy pulse. "That was just a scanning beam," Kilos protested. "We always do that when we encounter unknown vessels. It is standard procedure." "Perhaps," Marcus said quietly, "but these newcomers did not know that. To them it might have looked like an attack." The chamber erupted in noise. 16 different species all talking at once, all arguing about what should be done. Some wanted war. Others wanted to understand. A few wanted to run and hide. Marcus had been alive for many years, longer than most beings in the room. He had studied the ancient texts, the old warnings that nobody else bothered to read anymore. Warnings carved into stone on worlds that had been dead for thousands of years. "Silence." Chancellor Torin's voice boomed across the chamber. Everyone stopped talking immediately. "We must make a decision. These creatures call themselves humans. Are they a danger to every living being in the galaxy?" Marcus took a deep breath and walked to the center of the room. "Before we decide to go to war, I request permission to contact them. To learn about them. To understand who and what they are." General Kilos made a sound like rocks grinding together. It was his version of laughter. "Understand them? We already understand everything we need to know. They are warriors. They are killers. They are exactly what the ancient warnings told us about." He paused, looking around the room at all the frightened faces. "The old texts have a name for creatures like this. They call them demons." A cold feeling spread through the chamber. Every species present knew the legends. Every child grew up hearing the stories. Stories about bipedal creatures that walked on 2 legs, creatures that brought fire and death wherever they went. Creatures that fought with a terrible fury that made no sense. The warnings had been found on 7 different worlds, all of them abandoned, all of them covered in the marks of ancient warfare. "Those are just stories," Marcus said, though he felt doubt creeping into his mind. "We are scientists and diplomats. We deal with facts and evidence, not old myths and legends." Chancellor Torin stared at the frozen image on the screen. The human ship was so small compared to the warships it had destroyed. It looked fragile, almost harmless. But it had won the battle in seconds. "Very well, Ambassador Webb," Torin finally said. "You may attempt to make contact with these humans. Try to communicate with them. Try to understand them. But our military fleet will be ready and waiting. If these humans truly are the demons from the old warnings, if they pose a threat to the civilized galaxy." He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Marcus bowed respectfully, folding his wings in the traditional ceremonial manner. As he walked out of the chamber, his mind was troubled. Yes, the humans had destroyed 3 ships. That was true. But there was something else in the footage, something that everyone else had missed or chosen to ignore. The human vessel had been moving away from the warships when it fired. It had been trying to escape. It had been running away. Marcus thought about this as he walked down the long corridor. What kind of demons ran from a fight? What kind of monsters tried to flee before they attacked? Maybe, just maybe, there was more to these humans than anyone realized. Maybe the real demons were the ones who fired first and asked questions later. He would find out soon enough. The diplomatic shuttle broke through the clouds and Marcus pressed his face against the window, expecting to see military bases and weapon platforms. Instead, he saw fields of golden grain swaying in the wind. He saw small towns with colorful buildings. He saw children playing near a blue river, splashing and laughing in the water. "Ambassador," his pilot said nervously, "we have 3 human vessels approaching our position." Marcus felt his heart beat faster, but the ships did not attack. They simply flew alongside the shuttle, one on each side and one above. A calm voice came through the communication system. "Welcome to New Horizon, Ambassador Webb. Captain James Mitchell is waiting for you at the landing pad. Follow us, please." The landing area was simple and clean, surrounded by gardens full of flowers Marcus had never seen before. A human stood waiting at the bottom of the shuttle ramp. He was tall, standing on two legs, with a flat face and short brown fur only on top of his head. The human smiled, showing white teeth, and held out his hand. "Welcome," the human said. "I am Captain James Mitchell." This gesture is called a handshake. We grip hands as a sign of peace and friendship. Marcus carefully reached out and grasped the human's hand. It was warm and strong, but Mitchell did not squeeze too hard. It was gentle, almost careful. Over the next several days, Marcus toured the human settlements. He visited schools where human children learned mathematics and art. He attended a concert where humans made beautiful music with instruments that produced sounds he had never heard before. He watched families eating meals together, laughing and telling stories. These were not the demons from the ancient warnings. These were peaceful people living simple lives. On the third evening, Marcus sat with Captain Mitchell on a hillside, watching the sun set. The sky turned orange and purple, and the first stars began to appear. "I do not understand," Marcus admitted. "Your ships destroyed 3 Cathari warships in seconds. Your weapons cut through their shields like they were nothing. Yet here in your cities you seem so peaceful. So kind. Which is the truth?" Mitchell was quiet for a long moment, looking at the stars. "Both are true, Marcus. We did not want that fight. We were exploring, learning about the galaxy. Your ships appeared and fired an energy beam at us. We thought we were under attack, so we defended ourselves." He picked up a small stone and turned it over in his hands. "In our history we fought each other for thousands of years. Humans against humans. Terrible wars where millions died. But we learned something important from all that suffering. Violence should always be the last choice, never the first. But when violence is necessary, when there is no other option, we are very good at it." "But you would rather avoid fighting?" "Always," Mitchell said firmly. "We would always rather talk, rather make friends, rather find another way." Marcus thought about this. "In your culture you have stories about demons, do you not? Creatures of destruction and evil?" Mitchell nodded slowly. "Yes, we do. Demons, monsters, warriors, killers. But we also have stories about heroes and protectors and guardians. Sometimes they are the same people. The same beings who can destroy can also protect. The ones who know how to fight are often the ones who fight to defend those who cannot." Before Marcus could respond, an alarm shrieked from his communication device. Lyra's voice came through, high and frightened. "Ambassador Webb. Emergency. The Skrull horde has broken through the frontier defenses. They are consuming everything in their path." Marcus felt ice in his blood. The Skrull were a nightmare made real. A hive mind of billions of parasitic creatures that ate entire civilizations. They had destroyed 17 species completely. Every military force in the galaxy had tried to stop them and failed. The Skrull could not be reasoned with, could not be negotiated with. They only consumed. "How much time until they reach civilian populations?" Marcus asked, his voice shaking. "For days," Lyra whispered. "Maybe less." Mitchell was already standing, his relaxed posture gone. His face had changed. The friendly smile was replaced by something harder, something determined. "Then we need to move fast." He looked down at Marcus. "You asked which is the real truth about humans. You are about to see both. We are peaceful people who love art and music and laughter. But we are also warriors when we have no choice." He held out his hand again. "Want to see what humans do when running away is not an option? When innocent people need protection?" Marcus took the offered hand and stood. "I think I am afraid of the answer." Mitchell smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Good. Fear keeps you careful. Come on, Ambassador. Let's go save the galaxy." The space near the frontier worlds was filled with fire and death. 2,000 warships from the Galactic Council formed defensive lines, their shields glowing as they tried to hold back the endless swarm. The Skrull came in millions, each ship a twisted mass of organic metal, hungry and mindless. They crashed against the Council defenses like waves against rocks, never stopping, never tiring. "Sector 7 is collapsing." General Kilos shouted from his command ship. "All vessels, retreat to fallback positions." The Council ships began pulling back, their shields flickering and failing. Hundreds had already been destroyed, consumed by the Skrull swarm. It was hopeless. Everyone knew it. The Skrull had never been stopped, Not once in recorded history. Then every scanner in the fleet detected new contacts jumping into the battle zone. 40 ships appeared, small compared to the massive Council warships. They had the markings Marcus now recognized. Human vessels. Only 40 ships? Kilos laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. What can 40 ships possibly do against millions? He learned the answer very quickly. The human ships did not form defensive lines. They did not try to create shields or barriers. Instead, they accelerated directly into the heart of the Skrull swarm, their weapons blazing. But these were not energy beams like Council weapons. These were solid projectiles moving at incredible speeds, and missiles that exploded with devastating force. Insane, whispered Lyra from the observation deck where Marcus stood. They are flying right into the enemy. That is suicide. But it was not suicide. The human ships moved like dancers, spinning and dodging, their weapons never stopping. They targeted the larger Skrull vessels, the ones coordinating the swarm. One by one, the command ships exploded. Then something even more shocking happened. Small pods launched from the human ships, flying directly at Skrull vessels and attaching to their hulls. They are boarding the enemy ships. Lyra gasped. No species has ever tried that. The Skrull tear apart anyone who gets close. But the humans did not care about what was supposed to be impossible. Through the monitor feeds, Marcus watched human soldiers in heavy armor cutting their way inside Skrull vessels. They fought through corridors filled with parasitic creatures, their weapons thundering. Where any other species would have retreated, the humans pushed forward. Where logic demanded they withdraw, the humans held their ground and advanced. Captain Mitchell's voice came over the command frequency, calm and steady despite the chaos around him. All human vessels, this is Valor Leader. We have civilian populations behind us and allies fighting beside us. No retreat. No surrender. We hold the line here. Marcus watched Mitchell's ship on the tactical display. The Valor was surrounded by dozens of Skrull vessels, taking hit after hit. Its shields were gone. Hull breaches appeared across its frame. The ship was dying. Then Marcus saw what Mitchell was doing. The Valor was turning, accelerating, aiming directly at the largest Skrull mothership in the swarm. The massive vessel that was coordinating the attack on Marcus's flagship. James, no. Marcus screamed into the communicator. You can pull back. We can find another way. Mitchell's voice came back, still calm, almost peaceful. Tell them something for me, Marcus. Tell them we are not demons because we enjoy destruction. Tell them we are demons because we are willing to do what demons do, willing to become what demons are so that others do not have to. The Valor struck the Skrull mothership at full velocity. The explosion was like a small sun being born, bright and terrible. Both ships vanished in the blast, along with dozens of smaller Skrull vessels caught in the shockwave. Marcus felt tears running down his face. He had known Mitchell for only a few days, but the human had been kind and patient, had shown him friendship. Then something impossible happened. The Skrull swarm stopped advancing. They hung in space, motionless as if confused. And then, slowly they began to retreat. Pulling back from the battle, disappearing into dark space. They are running, Lyra whispered in disbelief. The Skrull are running away. For the first time in recorded history, the Skrull had been stopped. Turned back. Defeated. In the debris field where the Valor had made its sacrifice, recovery teams found fragments of Skrull data cores. Lyra worked through the night translating the ancient Skrull records stored inside. When she finished, her hands were shaking. Ambassador, she called Marcus to her station. You need to see this. The data core showed images that were 50,000 years old. Battle after battle, the Skrull consuming world after world. But then the images changed. They showed human faces, human ships. And with them, a message in the Skrull language repeated thousands of times. What does it say? Marcus asked. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. It says, the demons have returned. We must flee. We must hide. The demons have come back. Marcus stared at the ancient warning. Humanity had been here before. They had fought the Skrull before. And the Skrull remembered. The planet called Keeper's Rest had been sealed for 50,000 years. Its surface was covered in massive stone structures covered with symbols that no living species could read. The genetic lock on the main entrance had waited all that time for the right DNA to open it. Commander Emma Harris placed her hand on the ancient scanner. She was the ranking human officer now, after Captain Mitchell's sacrifice. The scanner glowed blue, reading her genetic code, and the massive doors slowly opened with a sound like thunder. Marcus walked beside Emma through corridors that had not seen light in millennia. The walls came alive with holographic images as they passed, showing scenes from an ancient past that nobody remembered. "This is incredible," Lyra whispered, her recording devices capturing everything. "These are historical records from before the first council was formed." The recordings showed a galaxy full of peaceful species working together. And among them humans. Not as invaders or conquerors but as friends and allies. They traded, they shared knowledge, they helped build stations and settlements. "We were here," Emma said quietly, watching her ancestors on the ancient displays. "We were part of the galaxy." The recordings continued, showing the formation of something called the Guardian Coalition. Multiple species joining together to protect the innocent from threats. The scrawl appeared in the records, consuming worlds, and the coalition fought them back. Human soldiers fought beside aliens, protecting civilians, saving lives. Then the images changed. Something new appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Tears in space itself, wounds in reality. And through those tears came something worse than the scrawl. The recordings called them the Unmakers. They were beings that did not just destroy matter, they erased existence itself. Worlds did not explode when the Unmakers touched them. They simply stopped being, as if they had never existed at all. "The coalition could not stop them," Marcus said, watching the terrible battles. "Entire fleets vanished. Stars blinked out. Civilizations disappeared." "No," Emma replied, her voice heavy. "But humanity found a way." The recordings showed human scientists working desperately. They created weapons that bent reality itself, that used the fundamental forces of existence as tools. The weapons worked. The Unmakers were pushed back, sealed away beyond the edge of the galaxy. But the cost was terrible. Marcus watched as the recordings showed planets cracking apart from the reality weapons. Stars dimming and dying. Entire regions of space becoming unstable. The weapons that saved the galaxy nearly destroyed it in the process. "So your ancestors made a choice," Marcus understood. "They decided to leave." Emma nodded, tears running down her face. They knew the weapons were too dangerous. Too powerful. If anyone ever used them for conquest or war, the galaxy would be destroyed. So they took all the knowledge, all the technology, and they left. They traveled to a distant world far from everything, a planet they called Earth. And they erased their own memories, made themselves forget everything they had been. "The warnings," Lyra said. "The carvings on dead worlds. They were not warnings to keep humanity out of the galaxy." "No," Emma said. "They were instructions. Instructions for when to call us back. Do not wake the demons unless extinction is the only alternative. Do not bring back the weapons unless there is no other choice." An alarm suddenly pierced through the ancient archive. Modern technology intruding on ancient history. Lyra's communicator was flashing red, the emergency frequency. She activated it and Chancellor Torrin's face appeared, pale and frightened. "Ambassador Webb, Commander Harris, you must return immediately. We have detected something at the edge of the galaxy. Something is coming through." The hologram shifted to show the galaxy's rim. Space itself was tearing open, wounds appearing in reality. And through those wounds, Marcus could see something moving. Something that made his eyes hurt to look at, something that his mind could not properly process. "The Unmakers," Emma whispered. "They found a way back. Can you stop them?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer would break his heart. Emma looked at him with ancient sadness in her young eyes. "Yes, we remember now. The memories are buried deep but they are coming back. We can activate the reality weapons again. We can seal the Unmakers away." She paused. "But you need to understand what you are asking. The weapons require power sources. Massive amounts of energy. They need entire worlds to act as anchors, to channel the forces needed." "Worlds?" Marcus said numbly. "You mean inhabited worlds?" "Yes. 7 planets with their reactors linked together. And everyone on those worlds." Emma could not finish. Marcus felt sick. "How many people?" 12 billion volunteers have already stepped forward. They know what it means. They are willing to become the power source, to give their lives so the weapons can fire." Marcus looked at this human commander, this woman who carried the weight of an ancient choice. "Why? Why would you bear this burden again?" Emma turned back to the recordings of her ancestors, fighting and dying to save species they barely knew. "Because that is what demons do, Marcus. We become the monsters so others can remain innocent. We bear the weight so others do not have to." The void gate pulsed with light that hurt to see. The tears in reality grew larger with each passing moment, and through them poured the Unmakers. They were not ships or creatures in any normal sense. They were absences, holes in existence itself, and everything they touched simply stopped being real. The Galactic Council fleet hung in formation near the gate, thousands of warships representing every species in known space. But nobody moved forward. Nobody attacked. They simply waited, frozen by terror. "We have no weapons that can harm them," Chancellor Torin said from his command ship, his voice hollow and defeated. "Every weapon we fire passes through them as if they are not there. But when they touch our ships, the ships vanish. Gone completely." Marcus stood on the bridge of his new flagship, looking at the tactical display. 40 human vessels sat at the front of the formation, tiny compared to the massive council warships behind them. Emma Harris commanded the human fleet now, and her voice came through clearly on the command channel. "Chancellor Torin, this is Commander Harris. We can stop the Unmakers. But you need to understand the price before you ask us to pay it." "What price?" Torin asked, though Marcus could hear that he already suspected the answer. Emma's image appeared on every ship's display. She looked tired, older than her years. 7 human worlds have been converted into reality anchors. Massive reactors linked together across light years, channeling fundamental forces of existence itself. When we activate the ancient weapons, those worlds will be destroyed. Completely. Nothing will remain. The command channel was silent. Every captain, every admiral, every species representative understood what that meant. "How many?" someone finally asked. 12 billion people, Emma said quietly. 12 billion humans have volunteered to stay on those worlds. To power the anchors with their life energy. They will all die when the weapons fire. Marcus felt his heart breaking. "Emma, there must be another way. We can evacuate them, we can—" "There is no time," Emma interrupted gently. "And the anchors need living minds to focus the reality weapons. Without them, the weapons would tear apart random sections of space. We would destroy the galaxy trying to save it." She paused. "This is what we are, Marcus. This is why the warning said not to wake us unless extinction was the only choice. We are not demons because we enjoy death. We are demons because we understand sacrifice. We will become monsters, commit terrible acts so that others do not have to. So that you can keep your hands clean and your hearts pure." The Unmakers surged forward, reality breaking apart in their wake. 3 council ships vanished, just gone as if they had never existed. "All human vessels," Emma commanded, her voice steady. "Humanity remembers. We remember why we left. We remember why we came back. Activate Protocol Guardian." 7 worlds on the tactical display suddenly blazed with impossible light. Blue and white energy that seemed to exist in more dimensions than Marcus could perceive. The ancient weapons, silent for 50,000 years, awakened once more. The human fleet charged forward. Not with anger or hatred. Marcus could hear the communications between the human ships. They spoke of their friends among the alien species. They spoke of the children playing on New Horizon. They spoke of the future they were fighting to protect. They charged with love, not rage. The reality weapons fired. Beams of pure existence struck the Unmakers, and for the first time the beings reacted. They writhed and twisted, and Marcus realized with shock that they were screaming. A sound beyond sound, felt in the mind rather than heard with ears. Space itself bent around the weapons' impact points. Reality anchored, solidified, refusing to break. The tears in space began to close. The Unmakers pushed against the closing wounds, trying to force their way through, but the human weapons held firm. And then, with one final pulse of blue light, the tears sealed completely. The Unmakers were gone, forced back into whatever dark place they came from. But so were 7 human worlds. Just empty space remained where billions had lived and died in an instant. The galaxy was silent. Marcus stood weeks later on a memorial station built near where one of the anchor worlds had been. Emma stood beside him, staring at a wall that bore 12 billion names carved in stone. "We called you demons," Marcus said quietly. "I thought we were wrong. But we were right, were we not?" Emma nodded slowly. "Yes. But demons are not evil, Marcus. Demons are just the ones willing to bear impossible burdens. To do terrible things that need doing. To sacrifice everything so others can live in peace." She touched the wall of names gently. "We are guardians who remember now. Remember why our ancestors left the galaxy. And remember why they would come back if needed. Will you stay? Will humanity remain as guardians?" Emma looked up at the stars, beautiful and peaceful because of what had been sacrificed. Below them, on training stations throughout the galaxy, human and alien soldiers worked together. Not learning how to kill but learning how to sacrifice. "Always," Emma said. "That is our gift to the galaxy. And our curse. The demons have returned. And we will stand guard for as long as we are needed." Marcus placed his hand on the memorial wall, feeling the names beneath his fingers. 12 billion souls who chose to become the power source for salvation, who gave everything so others could have tomorrow. The demons had come home, and the galaxy would never be the same.